What's up guys, welcome back to AOR Xbox One F1 for the penultimate round of the season here at Interlagos for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and I'm here with Justin.
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to this one. As I tweeted out, for those that follow me on Twitter, at Justin Sutton F1, I do like this track. I like this track a lot. And in fact, Rosberg is just starting the first hot lap of this qualifying session on this really lovely track. I just love the flowing nature of this. You know, I really enjoy flowing circuits, and Interlagos is definitely one of those. So the sky looks a little ominous. I don't know if we've gotten any sort of weather report from any of the drivers or anything, but it's certainly not wet out or anything, no rain, but I'm kind of hoping for a little bit of precipitation. It's been dry for the last couple of races.
Yeah, it's Brazil's always one of those races that seems to throw up a little bit of rain here and then, and when it does, it's always like a crazy race. If we think back to 2016 in real life with Verstappen overtaking a load of people, or 2008 with Hamilton winning the championship, and maybe 2012 as well. They're all crazy races when rain gets thrown about. So, I mean, hopefully on this game something crazy will be like that. It's about time we've had some sort of mixed up grid, because for 8 of the last 9 races the Flying Finn has been on the top step of the podium. So yeah, maybe rain will come. We're yet to see, as Rosberg crosses the line with a 109.3 there for the first one to cross the line. Again, I'm not sure what sort of times we're looking for. Maybe a mid 108, I think, at very best. But again, we'll have to see.
Yeah, should be interesting to see. I believe Lockdown might be the next one to set a time, actually. Yep, he's just crossed the line for a 109.495, but it looks like it was disallowed. He must have had some sort of issue, because I'm not actually showing the time up at the top left, but it did say he had a 109.4. But Limitless, yeah, immediately goes 0.6 quicker than Rosberg, 108.7. So I think he may have been right about that. Limitless tends to be a little bit off of the pole times, so maybe we'll even see a low 108. Evo pops in actually 0.2 slower than Limitless.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty decent banker for Limitless there. As you said, he's not normally at the very front end in qualifying, but I think Brazil in the past has been one of his stronger tracks. I do think he won in season 10. It's quite a long time ago now, but it has been historically a better track for him than I guess other places. But again, we'll have to see if he can start up at the front here. I think he'll be within a good shout of a decent podium finish, definitely. But that, again, strategy is going to come into it, whether it rains or not. And I'm pretty sure, looking at the Oceania race earlier today, the one stop was very, very on the limit, and it's very close between that and the 2 stop, as Danny goes fastest there. 3,000s faster than Limitless there, so Toro Rosso is 1 and 2 at the moment.
Huh, yeah, extremely marginal between the two of them. As you said, there's 3,000s between them. But Danny is now coasting. He's going to be heading back into the pits. I believe that is all of the times we're going to see for this kind of round. Although we may see Cryo Lockdown go around again. No, he seems to be, he's coasting as well. So
what about Adido around just? He's gone 0.2 faster.
He sure has, yeah. And there's the mid 108 that we were looking for. How's his fuel looking? Yeah, not enough fuel, so he's definitely going to be heading back into the pits now as well. Just over 6.5 minutes remaining in this Brazilian Grand Prix qualifying session, and I believe we're going to see 12 times, if I'm not mistaken. I think only one of these drivers has a quali ban. Yeah,
that's EVR Reynolds, who's quali banned from Mexico, I believe. And one thing that's really strange, Matiz, Alonso and Finn haven't gone out at all yet. Neither has Jason, which is odd. But I guess the top 3 from last race have decided, for whatever reason, maybe they're going to start at the back or something, or maybe they're thinking they only need 1 run. But who knows? It's quite odd to see not even bothering to attempt a bank lap. It's strange.
Yeah, that is definitely strange, especially because it is such a short lap as well, too. I mean, they could have easily gone out and come back in, no problems. It's just over, or just under, 70 seconds to complete a lap of Interlagos with these cars. So, yeah, that's a bit of an odd one, but we'll see what they have in store for us. Obviously, those are some of the heavy hitters with Matiz, Alonso, and the Flying Finn. Jason, usually not a qualifying star, shall we say. But certainly it'll be interesting to see what he does as well, too. I do keep seeing the tires changing from super soft to soft. I don't know if that's just them messing with people or not.
Yeah,
but...
I think so. Matisse is the only one on soft for me, and last time
Yeah.
out, he did qualify on the middle compounds. So
He did.
again, because the one stop is kind of on the limit here, I'm pretty sure super soft to medium's pretty on the limit. Maybe they're thinking the one stop is fastest, but going soft to medium, which is probably why they left it to the end. Because I'm pretty sure you only get one set of the softs. In qualifying, so they probably left it to the end for the maximum track evolution. And I've just noticed Jason's switching to the softs as well,
and
same with
Alonso.
Yeah, so this they could know the best strategy here for a dry race, so, and that could be soft medium. So interesting.
I think you cracked that one. I think you cracked that mystery because yeah, that seems to be exactly what's happening here, and I'm glad you had that little bit of information because yeah, and there goes Finn onto the softs as well too. Limitless is currently on an outlap on the super softs, so it'll be an attempt for him to try and get ahead of his teammate at least. Who knows if he can find the 2/10 needed to get ahead of Evo in this qualifying session, but certainly I'm sure Limitless is capable of finding those 3,000s to get ahead of Danny. But it'll be interesting to see, what do we think the delta is like between the super softs and the soft?
Well, it's quite a short track, so I wouldn't expect any more than half a second. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. If the very best time that we've seen on the supers is an 8.5 at the moment, half a second off that would be 9.0. So that's you know, P7 or P8 there, and that's a lot of guys to overtake if you know, if you want to get through the field and win the race from you know, starting on the softs. But again, track evolution is going to be a thing, and all of these guys are going to have at least a couple of tenths in hand just because of the extra grip on the track. And yeah, we're going to have to see as Jason's come out now, Matisse as well, that I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be attempting 2 runs on those tyres. But we've got Limitless coming through the final proper corner here. He seems to have done a decent middle sector there. There was no major mistakes there, and his first sector seemed pretty solid as well. So not much to do in this final sector, but he's actually just gone into the pits there. So that's an interesting one. I think that was maybe not an optimal lap for him there.
Yeah, he must not have improved or not improved enough for his liking, and he does have enough time, I think, to get back in, because again, that really short lap time, I think he's got enough time to get in, change those tires, and get back out for one more final attempt. But we've got a number of drivers on their laps now. I believe Danny's on a lap, Cryo Lockdown as well, and Simon, all of those guys out on laps at the moment. And I think Matisse is going to be finishing his first flying lap on the softs. He is fueled for another 3 laps, though, so I think we're going to see a second attempt here from Matisse.
Yeah, interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what the soft runners can do, because yeah, it's an unusual one where in terms of this strategy, it's not something you see often where guys have to start on the middle compound. We saw that quite a lot in season 12, where there was the tyre wear glitch, and it gains you a significant amount, like pace advantage and tyre wear gain from it. But in this game, we don't have that, of course, and it's 100% strategy related. So it's going to be very interesting if guys like Evo have been historically good on their tyres. He's been able to save it. He could basically do a one-stop on his starting on the super softs pretty comfortably, you'd think. And the rest of them, Jason's just set a 9.2 on his softs there, so I'm going to hop on board with Finn, see if he's on a lap at the moment. He is.
He is.
Just to
he's
see
also
what he can manage.
On both Matisse and Alonso. 17-1 in the first sector for both of those drivers, 17-0 for Finn. I didn't catch the sector 2 times, but again, with such a short track, such small sectors, you know, that's a pretty big difference. So I think Finn is at least looking like he's going to be the strongest of the soft runners so far.
Evo with an 8.4 there, so minorly improving there. Hopefully you've got enough for another one. Alonso 9.0, Matisse 8.9. Here goes Finn.
Here comes Finn.
8.6 at front row there on the softs.
Unbelievable! What? What? Oh no! Oh no! He's fighting Matisse's fire with his own fire, and it seems to have worked out extremely well. He's actually backed off. I think he was fueled for another lap if needed.
I don't think he needs it, though, does he?
Yeah, no, he really doesn't. He's going to get out of the way of CRL Hamilton, and front row of the grid for the Flying Finn on the middle compound. That is, I mean, that is truly incredible.
Yeah, and that's going to basically benefit him the entire race now versus Evo anyway, if they start as they are. Evo's still going around, and Simon's just popped in there, just slightly ahead of Finn there, so he's bumped him off the front row, and that's slightly better for Evo. I think Simon's in the Haas as well, so that would be an interesting front row if Evo can hold this place, and same with Simon. Evo's coming towards the line now, he's just got enough fuel to finish this lap off, and it's an 8.3 there, so that's I think that's a pretty untouchable pole time. I don't expect anyone else to beat that. As Matiz
pops in
8.7, very close there, half a tenth.
But not quite good enough. So he's going to be starting on the second row of the grid alongside his season-long rival, the Flying Finn. The two of them sharing that fourth row of the grid. Danny M7 and Limitless. So yeah, it's an all Toro Rosso third row. Oh no! As who's just popped in?
Yeah,
Danny. Danny popped in. Pops up into third. Just 1,000th off of Simon. Unbelievable. Incredibly close times we're seeing here.
Limitless is just about to finish off his lap now. I'm not sure what it was like. I just caught him coming out the final corner. He's coming towards the line. It's an 8.4, I think.
Yeah, I think it was 8.4.
P2, yeah, you can see on his steering wheel there. There we go, P2 for Limitless. So that's a decent qualifying for him there. We were saying it's never really his strong point, but only 600s, 700s off Evo, and there who's very solid in qualifying normally. He had pole in USA, if I remember that, yeah. So, well, I mean, it's interesting. Finn and Matiz now down in 5th and 6th place there. Alonso all the way down in 10th there. And for Jason starting 12th, it really didn't matter about him starting on the softs. He'll be able to get fresh tyres there. Same with Hamilton. But it's, I think we're in for a really interesting race, especially if it stays dry throughout the whole thing. Well, maybe even if it goes wet as well. It really throws all different types of strategy into the mix. So I think we're in for a really interesting race here. Starting off dry though.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Yeah, the soft runner is relegated down to the third row by the two Toro Rossos in the end. But yeah, great qualifying for Danny, for Limitless, like you said as well. And yeah, I think third row though is still a really good place to start. It's not quite as good as the second row, obviously, but still a really solid starting position. And also, Finn only did the one flying lap on his set of softs, so he's going to have the freshest softs out of everyone, I believe, or at least certainly compared between himself and Matiz.
Yeah, I don't think it will matter that much because they'll have a little bit to play with because they're going to be switching on to the mediums, I guess, for a one-stop. So it shouldn't matter too much, but he'll have a pace advantage.
Yep. And it's going to be, it's like you said, it's going to be minor. And of course, with the cars bunched up at the beginning of the race, Finn might end up putting a lot more into his tires compared to Matiz. But here we go on the grid now for the Brazilian Grand Prix. We've got 5 lights. And they're away, and it looks like a good start for the Haas of Evo. But of course, Limitless will have the inside line. Looks like he's not going to be able to sneak up the inside. Some jockeying for position in the background, some side-by-side action between the Sauber and the McLaren. I think that's Cryo Lockdown, and I'm not sure who the other car was, but Evo is away. Limitless is holding on to that second place position. Simon holding on to third. The Flying Finn is actually pressuring Simon already into turn 4 here, but not going to be able to pull alongside. But I think that's going to be one to watch, certainly. But the Flying Finn has already gotten ahead of Danny M7, so Danny's already lost position. Not a great start for the Toro Rosso. Yeah,
Finn made a good start. They gained a position. Matiz actually lost a position, so there's 2 cars in between Matiz and Finn now, which is not good at all for Matiz if he wants to beat Finn this race, in terms of at least keeping on the same pace with him with regard to strategy though. But it was a clean start at the front there. Evo, Limitless, I think Limitless will be keen to just really hang on to the back of Evo. Doesn't want him to get away because slipstream is quite important on this track as long as they've got it in this game. And they can just hang on, and you very often see trains of cars. It's sort of like a Monza, I guess, in that sense. Not quite the same, but you often get packs of cars that are just hanging on to each other's slipstream and DRS. But Evo round very fast there. It was a very short lap, of course, around here, and he obviously sets the fastest lap in all of that. But interestingly, Danny's very, very close to the back of Finn at the moment.
Yeah, he is very close, and I do apologize. I thought that was Cryo Lockdown that was coming under attack from Rosberg at the start of the race, but it was in fact Matiz that was actually coming under attack from him, so my bad for spotting that one incorrectly. Danny losing a little bit of time, it seems, but he is, of course, going to be quicker than the Flying Finn. He really doesn't want to waste any time behind any soft runners or anything, and the Flying Finn is the only soft runner ahead of him. And you have to imagine that Danny feels pretty good going up against Simon. I think Danny has been pretty regularly ahead of Simon since he's been ahead of Simon in every single race since he's come back. So if Danny can clear the flying fin here, then I imagine he's going to be pretty confident about grabbing that podium position. Whether or not he can hold on to that, we'll see. But yeah, I think he could possibly get up to third here.
Yeah, I don't think that's due to Simon's lack of pace, just more lack of consistency. He's regularly qualified up near the front, but then has often fallen maybe even out of the points as the race goes on. But Evo, once again, another fastest lap there. And again, I don't think anyone's quite close enough for any sort of move yet. We've got very close battling between the two Red Bulls with Hamilton and Kyle Mitchell there, and then Lockdown just ahead of them. But throughout the rest of the field, there's pretty even gaps up from first down to about 7th.
Yeah, biggest gap at the moment is actually between the teammates Cryo Lockdown and Matiz. He's just out of DRS range, which was just activated at the start of this third lap of this race. And it looks like, again, Danny not really pressuring the flying fin. That's what I'm really watching at the moment. Surprisingly, we've only seen 4 changes of position. So I think that train effect you were talking about has already started to happen, because really not seeing anybody pressuring. Again, the gaps are all very, very close, but it can be a difficult circuit. The flowing nature of it means a lot of dirty air, of course, as Danny, I think, is finding through that downhill left-hander at the end of Sector 2, and they come out of that corner, and they will get DRS for the first time on the start-finish straight. And it looks like the flying fin actually is the one that is much closer to Simon rather than Danny being close to the flying fin. There it is, DRS activated for Finn. Simon did get DRS, so that might just about keep the 3-time champion behind him, and it has indeed.
Yeah, just that. I thought Simon was going to go a little bit deep. He did miss his apex, but he just slowed the car down in time. But he's lost DRS now. He's 1.1 off Limitless now. So yeah, these trains are going to start to form, and given the tyre difference, unless the tyre wear starts to kick in for the top 2, then Finn probably won't be able to keep up with them. But we'll probably come back towards the end of the race. But it's going to be interesting. I've been looking at near the back, the 2 Williams guys, 11th and 12th, and then we don't normally see either of them towards the back, which is quite strange. Obviously, they had less than ideal qualifying, so having both attempted to qualify on the softs there, but yeah, we often see them a bit higher up there, so I don't think this strategy has particularly worked out for them. If you want to qualify on the middle tyre, you really need to be a Finn or a Matiz who can really pump in a good lap time, and other than that, maybe it's better to start somewhere else and start on something else and maybe qualify higher up the grid on the super softs. But well, it's the optimal strategy for them, I guess, as Finn's attacking Simon now into turn 1. He's looking up the inside. Simon's left plenty of room there. He's very kind, and yeah, Finn's through into P3 now.
Yeah, very generous of Simon. Like you said, he left a lot of room. Danny on the attack now gets the DRS, but of course so does Simon off the back of the flying fin on the run down towards turn 4. Simon looks like he's going to defend the inside, but then moves back onto the racing line. Danny getting very close to the gearbox of that Haas ahead, but not quite able to get close enough. He's certainly not going to be close enough heading into Ferradura here. Simon, in fact, is keeping up with the flying fin fairly well on those super softs, but I imagine that, the flying fin has looked faster than Simon pretty much the entire race. I want to say even from the very beginning. So I think the flying fin will eventually start to pull away here and close in on that leading Toro Rosso of Limitless, who has just gotten out of DRS range of Evo, actually, which is going to be music to the flying fin's ears. Yeah,
well, that's going to mean that Limitless is pretty much going to fall back from here, I guess. I don't doubt Limitless's pace, but I think Evo's, as we saw in USA, he's in one of those moods, I think, where he just wants to drive away from everyone else and really just sort of be a robot with his consistency. And well, it might be another flying fin versus Evo battle at the front there, but Matiz, he's yet to make a move on Rosberg here. He's very close at the back, as is Danny's attacking Simon here. I'm just going to take a look on board with that. Simon's defending the inside there. Matiz looking at the inside of Rosberg, but it's not enough. And Matiz really needs to get a move on if he wants to get anywhere near Finn at the moment, because there's now 3 cars in between them.
And also, for those of you that joined us for the last race and stuck around for the interviews as well, Matiz does not like Abu Dhabi. So his goal here is not even necessarily to win the race. His goal here is to outscore Limitless by 10 points, really. That's what will secure second place in the championship for him, and then he won't even need to turn up for Abu Dhabi. So if he can outscore Limitless by 10 points, then that will happen. However, it's not really looking like that's going to happen. Actually, let me switch to the leader interval. Yeah, it's about a 4-second gap currently between Limitless and Matiz, so it's not looking good for Matiz to make that happen. It's at the moment looking like he will, in fact, have to turn up for Abu Dhabi, so I'm sure he's frustrated about that. Oh, no, yeah, it looks like Simon was getting defensive there. Oh, he's gone deep again into turn 1. It seems that's just the line that Haas wants to take, and Danny is getting a great run out of Curva del Sol. He's going to get the pick up the DRS as well. Simon's got the inside line, but the Toro Rosso is just about pulling ahead. He's later on the brakes as well. Danny is going to move up into P4, and that's going to allow him to chase after the Flying Finn potentially. But as these laps tick down, the Flying Finn softs are just going to be, start coming into their own. They're going to become faster and faster, and Danny's going to have a harder and harder time. He does have a little bit of a buffer though between himself and Matiz. Matiz is going to have to overtake Rosberg and Simon before he even can think about overtaking Danny.
I think the two Red Bulls have been in the wars there. Kyle Mitchell's just pit the last lap, and Hamilton's lost 9 seconds to the back of Reynolds. He spun in the middle sector of last lap, and I think he spun again at the start of this lap that we're currently on. So he's lost about 5 seconds for each of those spins there. I don't know what's happened for him, but yellow flags were flown both times, as I think that's Simon going into the pits there. So this is what I'm on about when it comes to the differing strategies. The guys who don't think that they can make their super softs last long enough and then to go onto the mediums are going to be pitting early, going onto a set of super softs again, and maybe a set of softs towards the end of the race. But yeah, Hamilton's completely left now. I think he was having a pretty terrible race anyway, but he's completely out of it. He's right at the back there. So yeah, but what we're going to see now is I think Lockdown is on another set of super. So like I said, again I can't tell. This is one of those glitches I think where it goes. Oh, he's had a very bad exit there out of the pit lane. He was all over the grass there and fishtailing about. But on my screen, he's on the softs. And if I just change the detail there to tyres, yeah, he is on the softs, definitely. So I'd imagine what we'll see, he'll go super soft as he started on, soft, and then maybe another set of super softs, or maybe another set of softs. Yeah. It depends on the tyre wear, but this is to avoid the mediums and avoid the potential punctures that you're going to get trying the one-stop starting from the supers. And this is where guys like the Flying Finn and Matiz are going to benefit, because they're not going to have to make that extra stop, but they'll be slower on the harder tyres, of course.
Yep, and now Matiz has actually one less person to overtake between himself and Danny. He still has not been able to get by CRL Rosberg, though, as they start the 9th lap of this race, approaching 25% distance. And both of the Williams cars are now into the points. Matiz is swerving violently from left to right. I'm not really sure what the strategy was there, but I'm assuming frustration is the strategy for Matiz right now. But yeah, it's looking better for the two Williams cars. Jason is now following behind Alonso. They both have clear air now, thanks to those cars that pitted ahead of them. So maybe their race will start to pick up from this point now that they've got that clear air. They've got Matiz ahead of them, who is also on the softs. So actually all the soft runners now up into the top 10. And I gotta imagine Matiz is foaming at the mouth to get by Rosberg right now, because this has got to be extremely frustrating. This is an important corner here if he wants to try and get by at turn 1. Yeah,
one thing we pointed out as well, Finn has started to catch Limitless, so I'm guessing the super softs have hit that point where they're starting to be a little slower than the softs now. And Finn is now in DRS of Limitless, but Matiz doesn't seem to have any straight line speed. Rosberg is pulling away on the straight, so he's got no option, no possibility to overtake the turn 1 at all. So he needs a good exit out of turn 3 here. But again, if Rosberg's still in DRS, which he is, he's not going to get anywhere near him. So I can imagine the frustration from Matiz here. He really needs him to clear out of the way so he can close up to the back of the Flying Finn, but again, it's just the way it is. You can't magic cars out of the way in front, and the cars ahead are on their own strategy. So the only thing Matiz can... Oh, as he tries it up the inside.
That's desperate.
Yeah, very desperate, but he's managed to make the move there. It looked somewhat clean from my point of view. I don't know, again, there's often lag in spectator cam, but there was a little bit of contact, but it didn't look particularly major, and I think Rosberg just jumped out the way at the last second there. But either way, Matiz has found a way past finally, and I don't think he'll be wanting to give that place back, even if it was a little too aggressive there. But I think it was fine. But yeah, finally past Rosberg there, and now onto the back of Danny in DRS of Danny as well as Finn has got past Limitless there because Limitless has gone into the pits. So it'll be very interesting to see what tyres Limitless goes on to if he goes on to the mediums here.
Yep, keep an eye on that one actually.
Softs, that is.
Oh, okay. So I guess he's two-stopping or has incredible... I mean, surely he's not going to go 26 laps on a set of softs.
I think it's just started raining.
Yeah, I think it has. I'm on board with Danny M7. He's just come out of turn 5, and that is definitely some rain in the air, which is interesting because I also still see blue in the sky, and that is Brazil for you. It is both sunny and raining all at the same time. But Danny has Matiz right up to the back of him. And I have to imagine Matiz isn't too thrilled with Danny because, you know, Danny really made that overtake on Rosberg a lot harder for him. Not that Danny was doing that on purpose, but of course he was giving the DRS to Rosberg. That was just making that so desperate. Oh, through the downhill left-hander, you could see how much more grip the McLaren has compared to the Toro Rosso. And I wonder if we're going to see the super soft runners start to come into the pits. I think Matiz might be able to stay out for another lap, you know, the soft runners, but we'll see what happens here.
These soft runners are going to hope right now that the super softs completely blow up and they have to pit for more tires, but it still stays dry enough for them to have to go onto dries and not inters, and then as soon as they will pit, they want it to chuck it down so they can effectively gain a pit stop on everyone else to go onto the inters. So I did think it was a sensible move for Limitless to pit onto the softs there, given if he knew about the rain or anything,
right.
But rather than the mediums, because at least it gives him some sort of I guess flexibility in when he can stop. But
Matiz on Danny.
Outside. Jesus, he's gonna make this stick with the extra grip. I think Danny's still gonna be on the inside there, and they're still gonna be side by side here. But Matiz will take that position very nicely around the outside there. It's not an easy one to make there, and you've got to have a lot of trust in the guy on the inside for him to not push you out or have any sort of oversteer moments. I think we saw that with Grosjean and Ocon in the real life race where Grosjean completely mucked up and oversteered into Ocon and he was out the race there. Not quite the same on this game. That wouldn't really happen. You make a little bit of contact and neither of you would spin, but it was a fantastic move from Matiz there, and he's now only 3.7 off the back of the Flying Fins, so it would be interesting if it actually goes to intermediates here.
Danny pits. Looks like I would assume he's going to go on to inters. I don't know though. I mean, of course, we don't have the weather forecast. I'm not seeing a lot of spray. I mean, I'm watching Reynolds try to brake for turn 1 now.
But Danny.
Oh, it is inters, really?
Yeah. Well, he's gone on to inters anyway. Again, I don't think same with Rosberg. It doesn't look wet enough to me, but well, he's tried to save himself a pit stop here.
Right.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting because we've seen previously it can take forever for it to finally go to inters, or it can be raining for ages, and or it can happen right away. So it really depends.
Limitless is having an exciting 13th lap of this race. He just dive-bombed Simon at turn 4, but went so deep that Simon just took the position right back. It looked really easy for Simon, actually. And then he got a little nudge of encouragement from Kyle Mitchell on the run down towards turn 6 at Ferradura. They made a little bit of contact as well, too. So it seems Limitless is really trying to make the most of these tires, understandably, as well, too, because this is his time to shine. You know, he really needs to be lapping a lot quicker than the people that are out there on the old super soft. So he's pretty desperate to get past Simon, it seems here, but so far it hasn't worked out for him just yet.
Interesting thing, the only guy out on the super still, I think, well, Simon, is he still out on his original set? I'm not sure. I don't think he is.
I can find out.
Evo's the only guy out on his original set, I'm pretty sure now.
Simon has stopped. Yeah, these are fresh super softs.
So Evo's still on his qualified super softs. This is what I'm on about with him being really nice to his tyres here, and he's just trying his damn hardest to really stretch these supers out so he doesn't have to pit for another set of dryers and then go on to inters. But it'll be interesting to know the time difference that Danny and Rosberg are on at the moment compared to the guys who have pit for softs like Limitless. So well, we can see the difference now between Finn and Evo. Finn's really closing Evo down now, but all the guys who started on the softs there, even the two Williams who I said were sort of out of position at the back there, they are effectively, if we take Evo out of the picture, all in the top 4. So I guess they knew something that none of the rest of the field knew.
Yeah, and actually it looks like the Flying Finn is going to breeze past Evo. Just such better traction coming out of Jun Chao. I never know how to pronounce that corner, but yeah, he's just absolutely monstered Evo, who does dive into the pits anyway. I would presume for a set of the intermediates, but we'll keep an eye on that, as well as Matiz now claims that's...
So I don't know if that's worked.
Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. Let me try again.
Okay, OBS is reconnected, so I think we're still we're finally streaming again.
Okay. Invite more, invite to party, invite to game. Did that work that time?
No, unfortunately, I've not got any invites. So, well, I don't know if you want to continue streaming this.
I don't have anything set up or anything. Hold on, let me see if I can.
Is it still in the session?
Yeah. I'm still in here.
Is Limitless though?
No, Limitless is out. He crashed.
Has he left the session then?
Let me see. How can I tell, actually?
I don't know.
It just says DNF.
Oh, it'll say on the friends list. I got TRL Limitless. Multiplayer Brazil, he's still in.
So can he invite you then, or something?
Yeah, if I can message him.
Okay. I'll tweet him. Everybody tweet Limitless, tell him to invite Seiyariu. Okay, yeah, I've tweeted him.
I've messaged him. Unfortunately, I just got a power cut out of nowhere, so it took a while for everything to boot back up. But great thing with this game is that it's so difficult to get back into the game once you're out of it. Right. Especially if you're a spectator, I think so.
Well, we're down to 10 drivers. As we know, Hamilton dropped out. Alonso and Limitless both crashed during the transition phase. Everybody's on inters at the moment. The Flying Finn currently leads by 6 seconds to Matiz, who just recently overtook Evo. So Evo's dropped now down into 3rd position. Jason is now up into 4th position, as Jason does, 12th to 4th, no big deal. EVR Reynolds up into 5th position, so he's on for a double-digit points finish. Kyle Mitchell is up in 6th position. Cryo Lockdown 7th. Danny M7 is way down in 8th. Not a great day for Danny or Alonso or Limitless.
So I can get back in now.
Perfect. Incredible. Look at the teamwork. Thank you to anybody who's stuck around. I don't even have the chat open anymore, but anybody that stuck around, you the real MVP. But yeah, that's how it stands right now. Again, 6-second gap. We just started lap 21, or actually, Danny just started lap 21, but the Flying Finn is just wrapping up lap 21. But yeah, 6-second gap between Finn and Matiz. About a second between Matiz and Evo. About a second between Evo and Jason, surprisingly enough. So actually, if Evo's not careful here, Jason could sneak a podium.
Oh, interesting. So I'm on the loading screen. Finally going to get back in though. I think we're all still streaming, so everything's good. So once again, apologies for that. There's nothing much I could do about it. I think the weather's starting to get bad around here. I think there's a storm coming or something. But yeah, that stuff happens unfortunately. Nothing I could do, but fixed it as fast as we could and back into the lobby now. So here we go. Alonso's just retired from the session, so I'm guessing that's why I got the invite from him. But yeah, like you said, we've got Finn first, Matiz second, Evo now in 3rd, Jason 4th, Reynolds in 5th, Kyle Mitchell 6th, Lockdown 7th, Danny in 8th, Rosberg 9th, ESR Simon 10th, and Hamilton, of course, is still running but isn't actually in the race.
Right, yeah. So, technically there's only 10 cars out on track. Hamilton's not going to be catching anybody, we'll put it that way. And actually, Danny and Lockdown appear to be the closest battle at the moment. Again, it's about a second from Matiz to Evo to Jason, but Danny is actually within a second on Lockdown. He's actually about half a second adrift of that McLaren as they get into Sector 2 now. So Danny, it's not all over for him just yet. He's still got plenty of racing. We're not even 2/3 of the way through this Brazilian Grand Prix, so still lots of time for Danny to make up some positions here. He could definitely get up to 6th at least, I think, because he's only about 5 seconds adrift of Kyle Mitchell. And we know Kyle Mitchell has not had the best of races. He's done a lot better in qualifying in the recent races, you know, the past handful of races or so. But he's not been great in the races, and Danny has. So I would definitely keep an eye on Danny. He could find himself in 6th after a little while here.
Yeah, that Kyle Mitchell and Simon sort of falls into what I like to call time trial merchants, where they're very, very fast over one lap, but when it comes to stringing multiple laps together and really getting the consistency going, they sort of struggle then and fall back down. But I mean, as we've seen with Simon there, he qualified very highly up the field and is now down at the back end of the points. Kyle Mitchell's done a decent job though. Of course, he's gained 3 positions from his starting place there, so yeah, it's a decent job so far. It's just whether he can really finish it up in the last third of this race here. But yeah, everything's sort of starting to spread out now as they've gone onto the intermediates now. And the question is, will it go to full wets? It seems with a little bit of blue sky, it's probably going to stay inches for the rest of the race.
You'd think so.
And probably be a little bit boring from then on. But yeah, it's unfortunate for guys like Danny, especially, who had to pit quite early because they started on the supers there, and well, they couldn't really do anything about that, and they've unfortunately lost a pit stop in all of that. Danny will be a lot further up, but he's got the pace. He's closing down Cryo Lockdown. He's close to making a move on him there, and yeah, just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, Cryo's another inconsistent one, I would say. You know, we've seen some times where he's pretty good, but I don't know. So far in this race, he seems to be doing all right. In fact, I mean, remember there was a time in this race where he wasn't that far off of Matiz. He certainly had a better start to the Brazilian Grand Prix than his teammate did. Oh, but he's completely lost it at the Senna S. I've gone and commentator cursed Cryo Lockdown. And that's going to put Danny right up to the back of him. Of course, no DRS in these conditions, as you would imagine. He is picking up a slipstream, maybe. It depends how the game is feeling about that today. But he's closer to Cryo Lockdown than he was last lap, but still not able to make anything happen. I wonder if the McLaren maybe is just running lower downforce, because he really does seem to pull away once they get onto a straight bit of the circuit. But he seems to struggle quite a bit more compared to Danny in the corners.
Yeah, it might have been if they'd have known that it would have started raining about halfway through the race, that someone might have compromised their setup and gone with slightly higher downforce. It might also be the case that slipstream isn't a thing now. A couple of guys have left, and of course DRS isn't active either, so it makes it so much harder to actually get past. But as Matish has shown earlier on in the race, that there are some more unorthodox places to get past, so if Danny really has got that pace advantage over Lockdown, he can make it work. It just might not be where you'd expect.
I guess a good question I have for you, because I don't know the answer for this. Will these inters make it to the end easily, or are we going to be seeing people just absolutely sliding around the circuit as we get closer to the end?
I'd imagine they'd make it to the end with a little bit.
It's got to be close.
Oh, as we've got Alonso in. Yep, there we go.
Oh, he'll know
even more than me.
Yeah, it's going to be very close, because Salih said he's getting 4% a lap, so...
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that one. Interestingly, the gap between the Flying Phin and Matiz hasn't... Oh, God, Cryo's made a mistake, but then Danny followed him right off the circuit, so he's not going to get past Cryo Lockdown then. But yeah, that gap has kind of stabilized between Finn and Matiz. Evo and Jason, though, they seem to be dropping off the back of Matiz, so it seems that the gaps are getting a little bit bigger at the front, aside from Finn and Matiz.
Look at Simon, though, right on the back of Danny at the moment, with Lockdown and Danny making mistakes there. Simon up the inside into turn 10 there, wheel bang with Danny there, and he's made the move stick there, so... Well, I'm used to seeing Simon fall back down the field, but he's proven me wrong this race, at least. Well, the second half of the race anyway, and he's got his way past Danny, who's someone I really I rate in terms of their racecraft and their race pace. But yeah, he's made a little bit of a mistake there, following Lockdown off the track there. With Simon's doing a little bit of weaving there. I think that might have been a sorry for smashing you a little bit there, but yeah, either way, he's past him, and he seems to have a lot of pace in the bag at the moment. Simon's
pace in SDS was really good. I think he finished on the podium, so...
at Interlagos, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so,
I mean, he certainly seems comfortable.
Yeah, because it's the same conditions in SDS. It got Inters halfway through the race, so he picked up the pace after Inter's condition. But I think it's going to be heavy rain. Actually, it's heavy rain now, so they might have to go on wets soon.
Interesting. Which I imagine some drivers will be like. I think Danny, who seems to just be really struggling on these intermediates, I think he's praying for maybe full wet conditions just for a change, because clearly it's just not working out for him at the moment. But you'll be happy to hear, Sonich, that we did not catch what happened to you because of a power outage with Seiyariu. So whatever happened with you and whatever happened with Limitless as well, we actually didn't even see it on stream.
I got a punch on the lap I was pitting on.
Oh.
74%, and then I confirmed to pit on Inters, and the game decides to change it to super softs.
Wonderful.
What I gathered from Limitless was he had some sort of incident with Simon, judging by what he's tweeted. So
they got beef.
Yeah.
on Instagram, they roast each other on each other's posts, so they got beef.
Jason's pitted, interestingly enough, and I think he's only lost one position as a result of that.
So I'm guessing he thinks that he cannot make his Inters go to the end there, but if it is heavy rain conditions, he might have been better off staying out and waiting for the full wets. But again, it's one of those things you really don't know in this game. We've still got a little bit of blue sky peeking through the clouds, so that would suggest it's not particularly heavy rain, but you know, sometimes the Inters work better, sometimes they're faster, so it's really a complete lottery here. So it's not a bad move from Jason. It's a lot safer than trying to stretch your Inters out and maybe having a puncture on the last lap. But yeah. Either way, he's going to be wanting to close down Kyle Mitchell. I'm hoping everyone else pits as well in front of him, because if they can all make it to the end on his Inters, he's pretty much giving away a solid P4 there, and maybe even a shot at a podium place.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on him. It's about 2.5 seconds between himself and Kyle right now, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that gap. Again, the gap between Finn and Matiz is about 6 seconds, and the gap between Matiz and Evo about 2.5. But yeah, I think Jason was dropping off of Evo and Matiz, so I think that maybe that's why he thought he didn't actually have a chance at a third place position based on how things were going so far. So maybe he thought this was his only chance.
I think if Matiz pits, then Jason might have some chance actually undercutting him if they do decide to pit.
Yeah, he does seem to be closing in on Kyle Mitchell pretty quickly.
He's got clear air as well.
Yeah, now down to 2.1 seconds between himself and
Simon
Kyle.
Up the inside of Cryo Lockdown there into turn 8, that is. And he's going to try all the way around the outside of this long left-hander. It's not going to work for him. It's very difficult to make that work there. Is Lockdown going to defend the inside? He is there. Can Simon do a Verstappen all the way around the outside? No. Lockdown defends that again. And, well, this is... Yeah, Simon's definitely got a lot of pace in the bag here, but it's very difficult to get past on this track in wet conditions as well, because unlike real life, we don't have any of these sorts of differing lines that you can take with the different amount of grips on the track. It's just... It's, universally the same grip across the track there, so it's going to be very difficult for Simon to get past unless he tries some sort of dive bomb maneuver, but I don't think that's going to happen into turn 1.
Yeah, nope, doesn't look like it's going to happen this time. But as you said, Simon really does seem to have the pace over Rosberg and oh my gosh, and Danny's lost another position. He's lost a position to Rosberg at some point. We completely missed that. He's running right behind the Sauber, but at some point he's now dropped down into 10th. Again, he's not going to come under threat from Hamilton because Hamilton's not even in the game. But yeah, that's not a great race for Danny.
It's the pad coming in clutch now.
Oh. Yeah, it's this is going to be one to forget for Danny. Although he will keep his points scoring streak going. I believe, yeah, Danny has scored points in literally every single race since he came back at Monza, and he is going to keep that streak going. And he is going to move marginally ahead, even more so ahead of Joe and Cal and those guys. So it's, even a bad race for Danny is scoring a little bit of points, so that's not too bad. But
Jason's side by side with Kyle Mitchell at the moment. He's closed in at like a second a lap on him at the moment. I'm getting an annoying glitch where he's constantly at 13,500 RPM, so it's not nice to sit on board with him. But yeah, he's made it past Kyle Mitchell there, and yeah, interestingly, the I guess the only guy who's not started on the soft at the start was Evo, their MP3, but the rest of the top 5 all started on the soft tyres. So it paid out, paid well for them starting on that tyre, definitely. But yeah, Jason, yeah, he's going to be hoping that the guys ahead of him really struggle towards the end of the race, because if they pit now, Jason's got a really good shot of undercutting them, but I'm guessing it's too late now for them to pit. They've got to stay out and try and make it to the end there. And I think there was a change of position there with Simon just getting past the lockdown.
Yeah, it looks like it. And right around Ferradura as well, start of Sector 2, which is, again, not a typical overtaking location, but Simon is clearly on a charge. He's got about 5 and a bit seconds to Kyle Mitchell, so it'll be interesting to see if he can continue that charge and gain even more points. Certainly, he's not going to be catching Jason. If Simon catches Jason, I will be very surprised. Ditto, I don't know if Jason's going to be able to catch Reynolds, even if he's going a second a lap quicker. He's only got 5 laps remaining, so that's only going to put him, pretty close to Kyle Mitchell. Or no, it's about 5 seconds actually. So I don't know. Well, no, I'm sorry. It's 11 seconds to Reynolds. Sorry. So yeah, that's not going to put him close enough to Reynolds. So I think Reynolds is actually going to be safe in that P4. He's got to be really nervous, I would imagine, actually riding around in P4 and Interlagos with these conditions and these worn intermediates and stuff. So I'm rooting for Reynolds here. This would be a great finish for him.
Yeah, we've got Danny at the moment attacking Seiyariu Rosberg at the moment into turn 1 there. Rosberg defended the inside quite nicely there, and Danny's still pushing him around at the moment, and with a good exit here he could challenge into turn 4, but he's had a little wiggle there, and again he's not going to be close enough. So Kyle Mitchell with a 3-second time penalty there, so that could cost him if Simon closes down in the last couple of laps here and gets within those 3 seconds. But yeah, for Jason, it's he just got to hope that the guys ahead's tyres just pop really at this point. They seem to be pretty consistent in their pace. He's not closing down Reynolds anywhere near like he was closing down Kyle Mitchell, but you just got to hope that they could go off the cliff really. But hindsight's always 20/20, isn't it? But you could say it's probably better for him to have not pit at all. But again, you can't really know that until you finish the race.
Yep, and Danny is still pushing Rosberg through all of these corners. This has got to be frustrating for the Toro Rosso driver. Just can't find a way to... Oh, that's a very late pit for somebody who just got done putting a lot of work into overtaking a whole bunch of cars. That seems really strange to me.
Yeah, tyre wear is going to be really close at the end, especially the guys on the top as well.
More inters.
And is that actually going to put him down into 10th? Here comes Danny into turn 1. No, I think Simon's just about going to hold on to 8th. Oh, it is going to be very close, actually, isn't it? It's going to be pretty tasty, I think.
Oh, Simon's just behind them both. So, but he will be on fresh tyres there, so we could have a little bit of action towards the back end of these points now in the last few laps, because I'm guessing with the Rosberg and Danny battling hard, it's going to be very, very easy for Simon to close up to the back of them on the fresh tyres here. But yeah, again, Danny with no way past at the moment, but it's very interesting that Simon felt the need to really go, maybe he wasn't looking after his tyres too much there, as Rosberg really aggressive on the defence there. Can Danny go all the way around the outside? It's so close, side by side at the moment. Rosberg just keeping it there. Danny up the inside into turn 10 here. Can he slow it down on the apex? He's squeezing him off the circuit there. And
Simon says thank you.
Simon pops through as well, so that's what I was on about with Simon. If he can take advantage. Oh, and he's really late on the brakes there. It's damaged his front wing, and well, that was it was a bit ambitious there for Simon there. There was a big long straight that he could have waited to overtake on, but with the fresh tyres, maybe he felt he had the grip. But that's him done basically. He's going to lose so much downforce, and there's Rosberg flying right past him, and yeah, all that hard work he did to pit, and then.
He should have stayed out.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with that one. Yeah, I definitely think he should have stayed out. I mean, he just got done making all of those overtakes that were actually pretty impressive. We were saying how well he was running, and then, just a handful of laps from the end, he goes ahead and comes in. But I mean, he must have been convinced that he was going to lose a tire, and Danny is very wide at the exit of turn 4, and Rosberg's not going to be able to capitalize on that, and Simon, same for him, not going to be able to capitalize on anything as a result of that either. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I'm going to take a quick peek and see how Jason is. But yeah, Jason is just not catching Reynolds.
He's caught 2 seconds though in the last few laps.
Right. Yeah, but
enough,
yeah, exactly. As Finn is actually now on lap 34, just 2 laps remaining after this one is completed, and the gap between him and Matiz has actually increased a little bit. It's now about 7.5 seconds. So Finn once again showing us why he is the reigning champion, and just extending that gap ever so slightly. Again, though, it's a tough break for Evo. You know, getting pole and you know, the race just not quite going his way. And it really seems like he's done a good job in the race. I can't point to any sort of mistakes that Evo has made. It's just maybe been a bit unlucky, and also he has, you know, the unfortunate luck of having to go up against the Flying Finn and Matiz and, you know, these other incredible drivers. So it's unfortunate, but it looks like he is going to comfortably get that podium. It's a 10-second gap nearly to Reynolds, so it's looking pretty quiet in the top 5 essentially, and indeed really in the top 6. And Cryo too actually has a pretty big gap ahead and pretty big gap behind. It's been a pretty good race for Cryo, in fact.
Yeah, I don't know what his best finishing position is. I seem to remember he had a decent...
7th.
Yeah, 7th. Okay, so he's going to match that. So, yeah, by his standards, it's a good finish. So,
he hates the wet conditions.
no, so even better for him then. I guess it helps with the only 10 finishers, but and the few people who started the race. But yeah, it's interesting. One of Simon's running wide here. Again, going back to Simon here, he's definitely got a lot of pace, but this is what I was on about before, when he really doesn't have the whole package in terms of being very fast over one lap but falling back in the race here. It would have benefited him, like, just have a little bit more experience when you see the guys at the front that we often see at the front, like Finn and Matiz and Evo. They often know when to make the move, and that's just racecraft coming in there for him. And Simon a little bit ambitious there, and he's managed to hold on to the back of Rosberg due to the fresh tyres here, but obviously the damaged front wing isn't going to help him at all here,
no.
And he's not going to get past Rosberg by the end of the race here either. So yeah, it's a bit of learning for him there as they go on, but Finn has just started the final lap now, and he's 9 seconds ahead of Matiz. So
I got a feeling Matiz is going to get punched.
He's very slow through turn 1 there, as is Evo here. So I think all of them are just creeping round trying to not blow their tyres up.
He lost 2.
Finn.
Yeah, Finn looks pretty comfortable still.
Yeah, he looks like he's doing qualifying laps, but yeah, Matiz and Evo are just being really, really cautious. Yeah, you can see Evo braking nice and early for turn 4, just really doesn't want to put any undue stress on those front tires, as, again, this is the final lap of the race. They're about halfway through the lap as well, too. And it looks like Simon is not going to get by Rosberg and Danny. Danny, in the end, he was way down in 10th at one point. He is going to claw back up into 8th, so his point-scoring streak continues. He hasn't finished lower than 9th so far this season, but also hasn't finished any higher than 4th. So he's always in the points, but never on the podium, is Danny M7, and it looks like that will continue. And the Flying Finn, though, is going to climb the hill for the final time, for the 36th and final time in this Brazilian Grand Prix in these atrocious conditions. And he's going to set, it looks like, yeah, like a 120. Yeah, he's fine. He's totally fine. No problems for the Flying Finn. 10 seconds ahead of Matiz, who does narrowly stay ahead of Evo in the end. So a pretty standard podium, actually, in the end there, despite the conditions and all of that stuff. It is Finn that leads Matiz, that leads Evo, which is almost exactly how the championship plays out. And actually, hold up. Evo is now 3rd in the championship. Ooh. Yep, he's just passed Limitless. That 15 points is going to put him 3 points ahead of Limitless heading into the final round.
That's very interesting there. But yeah, Finn winning the race there. That's his 6th win in a row. So that's something he's never done before. So this is, well, probably his most dominant season we've seen. This is his 13th win of the season, and that is a record for him anyway. And if he wins the next race, it'll match Noble's record of 14 wins in a season there, as Rosberg and Simon both crossed the line to finish off this race. So Well, I think I missed the most exciting part of that race, which is unfortunate. But in terms of strategy, it's a very interesting one.
Yeah, that was fun to see how all of that played out. I was glad to see the differing strategies at the beginning of the race, as far as the handful of drivers going onto the soft tires instead of the super soft. It's obviously worked out, as we mentioned. There is a bit of luck involved with that sort of strategy call, but the rain came at the perfect time for them. It worked out really well for the soft runners, except for Sonic. Yeah, it was an interesting race. It was exciting, but like you said, you did also miss the most. I mean, I was still doing commentary too. I was in full commentator mode after you dropped. I was screaming about all these overtakes and stuff, and then I realized I was talking to no one. So that was unfortunate, but yeah, that was a good race, and I was glad that we got that little bit of moisture in the air too. Started off dry, long transition period that caused a lot of chaos for a lot of drivers. Man, I might give it to EVR Reynolds.
I was thinking the same. Despite him having
4th.
a lot of penalties, he's managed to still had a big enough gap to Jason. I mean, of course, Jason Pitt there, but he had a big enough gap to those penalties didn't affect him at all. But he did gain the most positions out of anyone, and I think that is probably his best finish of the season there.
It is.
So.
It is, yeah, a lot of 7th, 8th, 9th.
Yeah, definitely. Reynolds.
Yeah, fantastic result for the Force India driver. I'm sure he's going to be absolutely thrilled about that. That is a big haul of points. I mean, he is sitting on 17 points, and he just brought home another 12. So, I mean, he almost doubled his points tally just from that one race. It is going to put him ahead of Jack in the championship standings. So that is going to move him up into 13th position. I think
Jason's ahead of me now.
Is he? Oh, I think you're right about that. Yeah, he is indeed. Yep. And that was another thing that we saw in that race was Jason actually overtaking you, which I don't think we had seen very often or at all, possibly during that season. So I think that maybe just kind of accentuated how difficult a race you had and how good of a race that Jason had. It worked out really well for him in the end.
Yeah.
It was a tough qualifying for the Williams. Both of you were outside the top 10, if I remember correctly. Yep. Which we're not used to seeing that. So yeah, I would say that was actually probably the biggest surprise from quali was seeing you and Jason.
My original plan was to not settle up, just start on mediums and go to the rains because I knew it was going to rain. So
that may have worked out actually. That may have worked out pretty well, in fact. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But we do have Matiz up there. We can grab him if we want to see how the second place for him played out. I'm gonna assume. I assume Matiz is going to be very upset about his tire life at the end of the race, and the Flying Finn is going to say, "Yeah, it was nice and smooth. Everything was fine."
I have to get them in.
I'm actually going to run to the bathroom real quick because I am about to explode. So why don't you go ahead and start with them, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so I'll start off with Finn, race winner again. So that was your 6th race win in a row there. That's a record for you, and you also hit your 13th win of the season, which is again a record for you. So how did that race go for you, given you started on the softs? You didn't start, I think you started P5, so you didn't start right up at the front like you'd expect, so it's kind of a risky move, but I guess in the end it paid off there.
Yeah, I was actually a bit gutted that I couldn't do a lap on the supers because my pace was really good in practice, but nevertheless, yeah, qualifying on SOS, seeing Matiz and Sonic do it as well, I was expecting a really good race, but yeah, I just really want to know how Evo took those supers 13 laps because that's just incredible, really. Because yeah, my SOS lasts about 16-17 laps, I think. So yeah, like that was great by him, and yeah, I think the strategy pretty much won me the race. I was more or less cruising in stint 1, not trying to make any moves because there was a bit of lag at the start as well. So yeah, just trying to keep my front wing intact and trying to like coach Sonic on the way as well, but I think he had a few problems. So yeah, it was a shame for him to like not be able to pit on that lap because he would have been up there with us. But yeah, overall, just a learning race due to like the strategy pretty much being OP.
Yeah, that's sometimes one of the things that happens when it rains. If you happen to start on a harder tire and it just rains just at the right time for you, which it seemed to do, and all the other super softs either pit really early, and or they tried like Evo did. The only one that could manage to make his tires go that far, and I guess it sort of worked out for Evo in that sense. But how are you feeling for Abu Dhabi?
Doesn't bring back too many good memories.
You've won that race before.
I'm talking more about the esports final, but yeah, I just want to get it over and done with, to be honest. But if it's going to be a close race, then I look forward to it. I'd wish rain, but that's not gonna happen.
You're right. Yeah, you'll be waiting a while, I think, for that rain.
Well, it is Codemasters, so you never know.
Maybe a sandstorm is more likely to come through, and then we could put on some Darude. But I assume your tires were holding up pretty well at the end there, Finn, because I mean you were still pulling away at the end. It looked like Matiz and also who was in third? I've already forgotten.
Evo.
Yeah, Matiz and Evo seemed to back off at the end there. They seemed to be slowing down. Were your tires okay? Because you didn't seem to slow down as much.
Yeah. When I came out the pits on Inters, I think it's lap 16 or 17, looked quickly up, and it said 20 laps left. So I think I told Sonic as well, I said I was getting about 3-4% a lap. No, I was getting 5% a lap, sorry. And I realized if I keep on pushing like that, then it's not going to last. So I just dropped off the pace, more or less cruising. And yeah, towards the end, the tires obviously were much better for me compared to the others. So naturally started pulling away. But yeah, I noticed Matiz closed in at some point in the middle of the stint. And yeah, I mean, the race it all happened because like just looking after the tires pretty much I think there wasn't a single lap where I could push, because if I did push, tires would have gone off. So yeah, more or less just managing them the race.
And actually, I've just realized, Matiz, because Limitless didn't score any points, you technically don't need to race at Abu Dhabi in order to keep that second place now, because you did what you needed to do, which is outscore Limitless by 10 points.
Oh, I love to hear that. Yeah, I'll make my mind up, but yeah, this is the race, especially with everything that's happened this season, I'm at least looking forward to, by far, because it's the worst track on the game.
And the tires for you, obviously, again, based on the gap increase that we saw at the end of this race, were you nursing your tires again? Were you right on the edge of another puncture?
I was, because I don't think you guys... I saw Seiyariu lag out, or leave the session at least.
Yep.
So I don't think you guys caught it on stream, but in the lap, like after the first stint, I was going to go for one more lap, because my tires were on like 75%. And then on the back, not on the back straight, on the actual straight, like coming up to the straight, I got a puncture at like I don't know, 150 miles an hour or something like that. So I almost smashed into the wall. So I had to quickly dive into the pits. Also almost smashed into that wall, so I kind of got away with that. So that was weird. No, I didn't. I barely missed it. I took out a DRS board, I think, and barely missed the wall. So... yeah, also, because, like, I had reverse slipstream, literally. I had DRS, the guy in front of me didn't have DRS, and he was just pulling away. So I had to overtake in the corners, and I made one godly overtake, which I think you guys didn't catch on stream, because Seiyariu lagged out, so a bit sad.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I was on the outside of turn 5 or 6, whichever.
So no on Rosberg.
Wait, did we get that one?
I think we did catch
No,
that.
not on Rosberg, on Danny. On the outside.
No, we did catch that one.
Long
didn't we?
right hand.
Yeah, we did catch that. Yeah, on the outside of Ferradura. Yeah, we saw that one. And that was a godly overtake.
Yeah, I thought it was quite good. But yeah, I felt like my pace was equal to Sully, but I couldn't push because my tires were going to go off. I thought I was going to end on like 90%, so I somehow only finished on the low 80s. I don't know how. It doesn't make sense, this game.
You know what? I was on 74% and I got punched. What the fuck?
Yeah, I got as well after my first stint on the straight as well. So yeah, I don't know. I was like some laps I was getting like 6-7% a lap, and the next one I got 2. It's like what?
Game OD, innit? So
exactly. But yeah, I'll take P2.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, yeah, with Limitless, unfortunately DNFing, that does secure a second in the championship for you as well too. For whatever that's worth. I know you're not super thrilled about second. No racing driver is ever thrilled about second, but yeah, it's still a good result today. Good result in the championship.
Yeah, I got to add into Finn. Like, even if I, like, for instance, didn't have the McLaren or had a bit better luck, I was never going to win the championship. He's just the best at the moment, so it's the best I could do this season.
Appreciate that, man.
Well, it's been a
Decent,
fantastic season. One race left to go at Abu Dhabi. Again, I think we can all predict probably a dry race for that one. And yeah, I think that's probably it for me. How about you, Seiyariu?
Yeah, I think the only thing I can really say is I hope that now everything's pretty much wrapped up, that we can have one final really solid race where everyone just really pushes and there's nothing really to lose at Abu Dhabi there. So yeah, hopefully all you guys can join me for then.
In season 12, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that one. Yeah, it would be preferable if you know races were won in the stewards and we could all see it on track. But you know, that's the way it is sometimes. And well, either way. Again, I'd like to apologise for the power cut I had. It's not something I could.
Just bad luck. Yeah.
It's not something I could really help. But I got stuff going back on as fast as I could. So.
No, I think he did it on purpose because he saw Side was leading. He's like, oh fuck, he's gonna win again. Fuck this.
AOR needs to buy you a backup generator. Clearly, put that on the old expense report.
Yeah, definitely. So, yep, same time, same place next week for the final round of the season, Abu Dhabi. So, hopefully you can all join us then. Bye-bye.